Hey friends, eddbud, and I'm back with another running shoe yay or nay. You guys know the premise of this show thus far. I take 4 running shoes and break them down, saying whether I'm gonna give them a test out or leave them on the shelf. Don't worry if your favourite running shoe crops up and I give it a nay, because it's just something that's perhaps not gonna work for me. I do try and look outside of just my requirements, I guess, from a running shoe and think about others. Show a bit of empathy. So don't get upset if your favourite running shoe gets a nay from me. It might well be that I feel it could be a great running shoe for someone else. Something like that anyway. I've got to be honest guys, the shoe sanctuary is incredibly warm today. There's not a lot I can do about it, so let's get to it. First up is a shoe from a UK based company, Inov8. Their shoes have been cropping up a lot recently and I'm quite intrigued to test them out. As someone who's got some great trails nearby, trail shoes are something that I'm dabbling into at the moment a little bit, and certainly the TerraUltra G 270 from Inov8 is one I'm very keen to get my hands on if possible. So it looks like there's a few very careful updates to this shoe, which is one of their out and out trail ultra type running shoes. Award winning as well. There's not many companies that can say that. They have an award winning shoe. So in this one it looks like they've updated the midsole, so there's more cushion there. I think there's more midsole there actually. They say it's going to have enhanced longevity, something you can get some more miles out of, and also made some improvements in the outsole rubber. That's one of the big selling points of Inov8 shoes, that outsole rubber. Quite often they're using graphene to ensure you have exceptional durability. It does mention that there are 4mm rubber lugs. I like the sound of that. Hard wearing protrusions are where it's at when it comes to trail running. It does look as if this shoe is aimed at hard rocky trails along with paths and road use as well. So quite a versatile option. A zero drop. Don't be scared of the zero drop, that's all I'm going to say. But we have a 12mm midsole stack, so it's not massively cushioned here. We're talking a nice reasonable amount. That's something that I'm really enjoying right now, the slightly lower stack shoes. So you can see why I'm drawn to this one, like a bee to nectar. I think most interesting though is the use of an internal footbed here. So that insole has got about 6mm of cushion itself. Really interesting to see a highly cushioned insole being used within a trail shoe such as this. Inov8 have increased the amount of midsole from 9mm in the previous version up to 12mm here, and I see many people out there quoting this shoe as being one of the most cushioned trail shoes they've ever worn. At £145 it's certainly comparable to other offerings with the same type of characteristics, but I really love the looks of this one. Just, it looks fantastic. Perhaps more towards the green colourway, but it's something I'm very excited to try out. So it's definitely a yay for the Inov8 TerraUltra G 270. Shoe 2 is the Adidas Ultraboost PB. Now, you'll remember I did not get on with the Ultraboost 20. Just too heavy, 370 grams in my size. I had all sorts of problems with blisters and rubbing on the back of my heel. It just did not work for me. It was mainly around this section of the shoe. It just caused me all sorts of problems. I did everything to try and resolve it. Cutting up insoles, different socks. But I got to 100 miles, it just felt like the shoe just really didn't work for me. But I'm always keen to examine shoes, not just for myself, but other people too. So when the Ultraboost PB popped up with a different upper, I was interested. So that PB version ditches the prime knit that was on the original version of the Ultraboost, and we have cellarmesh, which is the same stuff that's featured on the Adizero Pro. You will know I love that upper, probably one of the most comfortable uppers that I've run in over the past 12 months. Exceptional lockdown I achieved in the Adizero Pro, along with brilliant breathability as well, even in the warmer summer months that we've got in the UK right now. I found the increased amount of boost in the Ultraboost 20 didn't really work with my physique. I'm quite a slight runner. It was just overkill in terms of underfoot cushion. I didn't need all that boost. But for other broader or more heavily built runners, I feel the Ultraboost could be a really good option. And we all know that Boost has exceptional long-term durability and longevity. It's resilient, it's not just going to give out on you. It does keep on working for miles and miles. I would suggest that the shoe's a little bit on the expensive side at £160 retail, but as you know with Adidas and some of the other companies they own like Reebok, they've always got a sale on. There's always discounts to be had, and I've seen the shoe for as little as £120, which I think is a much more acceptable and digestible number of Earth credits. I would suggest heading over to the Adidas website and camping out there, waiting for a good price on this one. It's going to be a nay for me, but I feel it could work for loads of other people. So I'm not bad-mouthing Adidas here. I really enjoyed the Ultraboost 18, the V4 version. That was great for me, but this other one just a little bit too heavy, too much midsole material. You may have watched some of my videos regarding the Hoka One Carbon X. A shoe I enjoyed, I just found it a little too firm for me. It did free up a little bit after a while, but quite a rigid shoe, a little bit too stiff for my liking. I spotted a similar shoe on the Hoka One website, which I'd slept on a little bit, I guess, which has similar characteristics. You know, I'm always interested in super light shoes, those feather-light offerings that are barely there. The Hoka One Evo Rehi is one such shoe. I think it's been around for a little while, this one. I know people had reviewed it up to about a year ago, but it's still an option available on the Hoka One website right now. This one rocks in at about 120 Earth credits. Certainly a lower stack height shoe, something that Hoka aren't really known for. It did remind me a little bit initially on the Carbon Rocket. That one's a bit lower, much lower drop. Certainly the Evo Rehi has more in common with that Carbon Rocket than it does something like the Clifton. Everything's minimised here, including a stripped back upper and no heel counter. It's just fabric stuff there. So viewer Samantha Jenkins certainly would not like this one. Minimal heel to toe drop here, 4mm, a shoe aimed at pace and much shorter distance racing. Don't think I'd want to use this one for a Sunday slog, it's more a 5k shoe. Hoka quote a 190 gram weight for the Evo Rehi, so very lightweight, probably still pretty lightweight up in my UK size 11, but I think the very minimal amount of cushioning here will no doubt limit the mass appeal of this shoe. I think those after a very low profile, quite light 5k shoe with lots of response, you could be in luck. As such though, for me, I think it's a little bit too minimal in terms of cushion, and I've got too many other options right now in terms of that type of shoe. So for me it's a nay. I've enjoyed checking out loads of New Balance shoes over the last 18 months. There's been some real corkers. I really enjoyed the Fuelcell Rebel. Some of the fastest times I've run actually in training have been in the Rebel. I do wish I'd half sized up on this one though. It is an 11. I wish I'd gone for the 11.5. I ended up taking out the insole. It makes for a ridiculously light and very nimble shoe. That Rebel is obviously based on the New Balance Fuelcell 5280 or 5280 or however you want to pronounce it. It's a shoe that's intrigued me for a great amount of time. That shoe specifically aimed at the mile distance, hence the 5280 feet in a mile. So the inclusion of a carbon plate within the Fuelcell material there is really the exact opposite of the Fuelcell TC that I reviewed recently, which is maximally cushioned and aimed at much longer races up towards the marathon distance. New Balance quote 147 grams for this shoe, which I take it is in the US size 8.5 or whatever it is they use these days. Very interesting upper there, like nothing before seen. Actually, it does remind me a little bit of some of Nike's recent casual walking offerings, with that very strange lacing structure there, almost like an off-white shoe. We have an 8mm drop here quoted on New Balance's website. That does seem to differ across all sorts of different reviews that I've seen for the shoe. By all accounts, a very rigid shoe here with that carbon plate, though lots of people do mention that it's actually quite cushioned in the forefoot with that Fuelcell material. Apparently the outsole is specifically shaped so that as you place your foot down the outer part of your forefoot, it then guides you back onto the big toe and then through your foot stride. It seems that they're really aiming at, rather than a stiff underfoot feel, it's actually quite forgiving with that Fuelcell material, New Balance's most cushioned midsole material available. The plate then provides a little bit of rigidity through push-off, but I have noticed at £180 there are only a few women's sizes left. I guess you could probably find a men's size somewhere on earth, but I feel this is a real niche product for a very specific distance. I don't think anyone would want to wear this past a 5k or something along those lines. Really for much lower distance work, such as the mile or perhaps some track repeats or something. So I can see it working for people who are out and out top level athletes, but I just don't think it has any real appeal for typical consumers, such as me. And as such, this is a nay for the Fuelcell 5280. That's all of the running shoes in today's video. Let me know whether it's a yay or nay for any of those for you in the comments. It's musical interlude time. I've been digging back into the rock and roll, rockabilly sort of genre recently. I think probably after I started listening to Brian Setzer again. So I dug out the Carl Perkins LP. It's a best of, so it's got some of his greatest stuff on there. And I particularly love Matchbox and Honey Don't. A lot of people know Honey Don't by the Beatles version, but I think Carl Perkins is on the money with this. I really love Carl Perkins' guitar playing as well. He had a really good kind of swing, quite innovative and driving style. Some of his guitar work on Johnny Cash's live recordings as well is really, really good. So if you're into that rock and roll sound, don't forget old Carl Perkins. Of course, he was the first to do blue suede shoes. Did he write that? I think he might have. Definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching through to the end of the video, guys. I very much appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, hit subscribe and click the bell for notifications below of when the new videos launch. And hopefully you will get a notification in some sort of decent time to be able to actually watch the video. I know some of you, certainly Joe Mullin, seems to get the notifications really late. It's not something I do myself, it's just YouTube sending them out. So hopefully this one will arrive in good time. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up like, it would mean a lot to me. And also, share it with some of your running buddies so we can spread the word. My name's Ed Bud, and I'll be seeing you